thank you all who are currently on the call. We are going to be sending this out as a recording as well after the presentation, but we have Lisa Houston with us, who is going to be presenting. Congratulations, you are the new safety coordinator. Now what? She is the Industrial Safety Consultant Specialist with the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation. She received a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration, specializing in risk management and insurance from The Ohio State University. In 2019, Lisa received her master's degree in organizational leadership through Indiana Wesleyan University. She has been with the Bureau of Workers' Compensation for 25 years, working first in claims administration, assisting injured workers, attorneys, and doctors. And then in 1996, Lisa transferred to the Division of Safety and Hygiene. She was the administrative assistant for the loss prevention manager in the Zanesville Service Office. After graduating from OSU, Lisa became a safety consultant. She performed safety consultative services in a wide range of industries and topics, including safety management, leadership development, cultural change, on-site visits, safety training, and safety program review. So thank you, Lisa, for being with us today, and I will hand the floor over to you.
Well, thank you, Holly, and good morning, everybody. As you said, my name is Lisa Houston. I am with the Bureau of Workers' Compensation. I've been doing safety now for probably 24 years, and I think I've been with the Bureau now 27 years. So I have to update that little bio there. We're going to talk about congratulations. You are the new safety coordinator. Now what? Wow. Now what do you do? Oops. How do I? Whoa, there we go. So our objective for today is, what is the BWC in the Division of Safety and Hygiene? What are the available services to you through the BWC, especially safety services? And what methods can you determine your company's safety status? Because it's really important. Again, we are the prevention side of the house, and our services are included with your workers' comp premium. So what is the BWC? We are the Bureau of Workers' Compensation. We are the largest state-run workers' comp system in the United States. Believe it or not, there's not that many left in the United States, and we are the largest state-run one. We serve nearly 250,000 employers, and again, that is a low number. I think that's even higher now. And we offer a variety of services to the employers, not only safety and health, but risk and claims management. We have an employment side of the house. We have the claims management side of the house. We also have a pharmacy side of the house. So we have really grown in the last, wow, I would say at least 20 years, to make sure that we're helping the injured worker, but we're also helping and assisting the employers to manage their claims. With the Division of Safety and Hygiene, it's a division of the Bureau of Workers' Compensation, but we are still one unit, one agency. Our mission, though, is to maintain a healthy, productive, and competitive workforce in Ohio by preventing occupational accidents, injuries, and illnesses. Like I said, we are the prevention side of the house. To us, no claim is the best claim. So if we can prevent it from happening in the beginning, then that is everything that we will try to do. With the Division of Safety and Hygiene, there's we have some specialized consulting, and I'm going to go through each one of these, but there's OSHA on-site consultation program. Yes, I said that four-letter bad word, OSHA. This is a different entity of OSHA. It's called OSHA on-site, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. And then we're going to talk about safety intervention grants. And then for those that are a public entity, you are not enforced by OSHA, but by the Public Employment Risk Reduction Program, also known as PERP. And if you go onto our BWC website, which is bwc.ohio.gov. Sorry about that. This is what you will come up to, the very first one, unless you already have a login ID and a password. But going into that safety and training is where I'm going to talk most of this session about. So when you click on that, you're going to get safety consultations. And as you can see, there's industrial safety consultation, construction, ergonomics, all the right now for safety consultations that we offer. So industrial safety consulting. I myself, I am an industrial safety consultant, but I'm also a construction safety consultant. So in the industrial safety consulting, I can come in and we could talk about machine guarding. Of course, I've heard it all. Well, I got it without the guarding on it, or well, you know, I was only going to do it for a minute or a second. It wasn't going to take that long, so why put the guard on it? So I do some consulting on machine guarding. These are just a few: electrical safety, lockout, tagout, and slips, trips, and falls. A lot of the slips, trips, and falls goes underneath, again, housekeeping. And these are just a few. I also get into forklift training, office hazards, because, yes, there are some hazards in the office. It's not as high hazard, but they're still there. And then we have construction safety consulting. Trenching and excavation, scaffolding, fall protection, and, again, electrical safety. And I will tell you that we are in Region 5 for OSHA, and trenching and excavation and fall protection are their number 1 and 2, 2 and 1, however you want to put it. It is a local and a national emphasis programs, and I am very sad to say that there was a trenching accident yesterday in Ohio down in Licking County. And, of course, lots of times it's a recovery and not a good outcome. And then we have our ergonomics consulting. We talk about in ergonomics manual material handling, repetitive hand or intensive work, and workstation design. So cumulative trauma disorders, ergonomics and safety go hand in hand, because if you're going to have a safety issue, it's 9 times out of 10 going to be an ergonomic issue also. Because are we bending, twisting, pushing, pulling? How is our body working along with doing this task safely? So people think it's just the work design, it's in the office area. It's not. I've worked with employers in trucks. I've worked with employers that are, especially in the warehouse when they're moving things, a lot of labor intensive. So if we can do it with a piece of equipment instead of manually doing something, that's where we try and help with the ergonomics consulting. And then industrial hygiene. Basically, this is if it stinks or it's too loud, we have our industrial hygienists that can come in and help you. They do air sampling, noise sampling. They can help you with your respiratory protection program and your hearing conservation program. And then we have OSHA on-site, and basically what they are, they're not really underneath us, but they are under the umbrella of Division of Safety and Hygiene, because they are the side that helps get individuals in SHARP program or the VPP program, which is the programs through OSHA so that you can bid on contracts and stuff. They assist small to medium-sized employers in high hazardous, and again, you have to invite them in. They do not just come in. They develop and maintain your effective safety and health management programs, and basically what they can do is they'll come in and they'll say, okay, these are the issues, but you have to abate them. You have to fix them. If not, you can be turned over to OSHA through them. But the biggest thing is if you work with OSHA on-site, you're going to want to make a change or want to get into some type of a program through them. And then, of course, the Public Employment Risk Reduction Program. They are the enforcement agency for public employers. I believe Ohio is the only state that does have a state-run public employment enforcement agency. Everything else is usually under OSHA, but not in Ohio. So you have OSHA on-site, which is not enforcement. They are there to help you, but if you don't rebate or abate for what they're coming up and finding, then they can refer you over to OSHA. Public Employment Risk Reduction Program is the enforcement agency for public employers. The BWC Division of Safety and Hygiene Safety Consulting is strictly consultative. We are not enforcement. We do not give our information to PERP or to OSHA. At any point in time, we work with the employer to, again, make sure that they're doing the right things for the right reasons. And we have what we call our safety grant program. Right now, you have, I mean, come on, $40,000. Who wouldn't want $40,000? It is a 3-to-1 program, though. So basically, we will give you up to $40,000, and then you put in the 1/3 match. So you can get $53,000 worth of equipment to help reduce or eliminate occupational factors, risk factors. So you can get $53,000. We'll give you 40. You put in 13. An example here, and I've got quite a few examples to talk about because I'm not sure exactly what industries I'm talking with here, but we have lots of different intervention grants that are available to you. So before, this gentleman is bending down and, again, the twisting, the ergonomics piece of that. And after, they got a lift table so that it comes to him and he doesn't have to go to that piece of equipment. So basically what the SIG, as we call it, Safety Intervention Grant Program, it is to purchase ergonomic safety and or industrial hygiene equipment. It's to reduce or eliminate. Of course, our biggest goal is to eliminate any of the hazards, but sometimes you can't eliminate, but at least if we can reduce those hazards. And it is a research program, so we're collecting data to create best practices. Some other types of safety intervention grants is a remote control remote control mower, a powered pallet jack. This right here, the power stair climbing hand truck, is awesome, especially for someone in HVAC or plumbing because, and I've even used it for some of the beer distributors because they've got those kegs and they're going up and down stairs. This power stair climber hand truck helps with that. And then pallet inverters. A reduction of strain on a grout delivery system, and again, this would be in the construction. And if anybody's ever heard of combustible dust, we've gotten an employer an explosive dust collection system, which reduces that hazard. A robot welding system, and scissor lifts. The biggest thing that is nice about scissors lift is there's some areas where you just don't want to use a ladder or shouldn't be able to use a ladder. Well, there are scissor lifts now that will come in through doorways that are small enough. Let's say you need somebody to replace some bulbs in the ceiling that are too high for you to reach through a ladder. The scissor lift would be awesome for that. And then manhole cover lifts and also manhole repair system is another type of safety intervention grant. And then the hydraulic jaws of life, we've given those to some fire departments along with the power cots. And and then this is the other grants that are available. If you know anybody in these industries, please get the word out to them. We have a firefighter exposure environmental grant, and basically washing machine extractors, because it has been shown that the gear that the firefighters are using do have some cancerous chemicals on them, so we need to get them to those washing machine extractors, gloves, hoods. We also have developmental disability grants for de-escalation training, ceiling lifts. We also have a sensory room for the developmentally disabled community. We have a law enforcement body armor grant. The new one out is the school safety and security grant. So if you have a private or a public, anybody that's a school can get bleacher system and basically security locks, cameras, a new type of badge system. So whatever we can do to help them increase their security in the schools, incident response equipment. And then there's also a workplace wellness grant program. So if they're looking to incorporate a workplace wellness grant or workplace wellness program in your facility, we have a grant for that. We also have a drug-free safety program grant that will help and reimburse some of the cost to get into a drug-free safety program through the Bureau of Workers' Compensation. We have a transitional work program grant. So in other words, if you have a transitional work or otherwise known as light duty, return to work, we will help to implement and reimburse some of those costs. Last but not least, this is the very first grant of its kind, and it just came out February 8th, I believe, 6th, is a trench safety grant. We are going to be supplying trenching equipment to construction companies that are doing the trenching and excavation. So again, if you know of anybody or if you would be able to utilize any of these grants, you would need to contact your local service office, whether it be in Columbus or whatever area, and they will get you to a safety person like myself to come in and help you figure out, what equipment that you can and what equipment that is unavailable, because we do have what's called a moratorium list. And these are the items that are not eligible for the safety grant because either it is a compliance or it's out of the scope of the safety intervention grant. Then we have additional resources. One of them is our Ohio Safety Councils. There's 83 across the state of Ohio. And what's nice about these is they're monthly meetings, once a month. They give you some updates of what's going on with the BWC. They give you safety updates. There are educational segments that talk about specific things. Maybe one week it'll be lockout, tagout. Another one would be about violence in the workplace. The topics vary. But the biggest thing is you're networking with your peers, because usually those safety councils are in that community. So you're networking, you're able to talk to people in the same industry or even may have the same issues going on that you're going on, and it helps you get an idea of what you need to do maybe safety-wise. And the biggest thing too is you get a rebate. You can either get a participation and or a performance, meaning that if you, depending on if you're in a group, you can only get one, or if you're not in a group, you can only get the other. So you can get 4% or you can get a 2%. And then we have our Ohio Safety Congress at Expo. I'm looking so forward to this. It is March 11th through the 13th of 2020 at the Greater Columbus Convention Center. Who wouldn't want to go to a free, no-charge conference? If you've ever been to one, that can be very costly. Well, this one is no charge to the employers of Ohio. It is anywhere between about 200 breakout sessions and workshops. The last day on Friday is usually half-day and workday short workshops that you need to enroll in. But Wednesday and Thursday are one-hour sessions. And also, there's two things that's really nice. And one thing that's different this year is they are doing live productions, basically live sessions. If you cannot make it to the Safety Congress, you can sign up and take these sessions online and watch it. Like I said, it's a live production, first time we've ever done it. But there's also an advantage of going is there's vendors on site. We have like over 300 exhibitors at our exhibit hall. And it gives you an opportunity to see what is out there in the safety world, and not just the safety world, but the claims world and the risk world. What can we offer the employers of Ohio to decrease, again, one, their workers' comp premiums, but also not having injuries? Because remember, the injury that didn't happen is not going to cost anybody anything. And then we have our Education and Training Center, ETSC, Education Training Service Center. There's more than 80 courses that are classroom style. There's 19 approximately. I know that they keep adding online safety training. And if you want to look at what our schedule is, you can get online again and just in the search bar put 2019-2020 Safety Services Catalog. Now, I will tell you, if you are familiar with our training center in Pickerington known as OCOSH, Ohio Center of Occupational Safety and Health, we will be closing that center July 1st. So what you will need to do is, if you sign up for any classes, to see where they are located at that time in the body of where it will be. Right now, I think it just says TBD, to be determined, but it will be within the central Columbus area. They're looking at one on the west side, one up in Hilliard, and one in Reynoldsburg. And also we have these opportunities of the webinars again, something that would be more specific. Right now, I'm just starting out so that you guys don't know me. I'm not familiar with you. So let's get a rapport of what exactly I can offer to you, and also what your group sponsor can offer to you. And then we have our video library. And what I like to say is this is just like Redbox, except for you don't have to pay for it. We have videos, DVDs that on any subjects that you can think of. Again, the list is in our Service Safety Services catalog, which you can find online through the BWC website. And also we have streaming of videos. If you are wanting to do a safety meeting, you can also stream that video at that time. And we also have safety publications, all kinds of manuals and safety talks, educational guides. There's a publications list, again, on the website for you to look at to see if you would be interested in giving those out to your employees. And above all else is our research. We have librarians downtown, that's where our main campus is in the William Green Building, that can provide you with a personalized research. Let's say that you're trying to find out an ANSI standard, which is the part of ANSI, American National Standard Institute, that does things that shows, oh, it should be the decibel level for your hearing should be at this and that. Well, I need to find out something about safety glasses, V87.1. So I get on the web search, go to library, and guess what? I can send them a question. Hey, can you research this for me? Because they have tons of databases. And tell them how you want it, snail mail, email, fax, however you want it, they'll send you that information. But the biggest thing is knowing that you have that option out there. If there's a question on safety, health, health and wellness, anything like that, you can just send that question to our librarians through the website. Also, we have books, and we are tied in with the Ohio State Library, so we can get you materials, books, and stuff like that to send to you, which is really, really nice. So last but not least, I want to talk about how do you determine your current company safety status? How do you determine that? Biggest thing is should you? Do you care? Well, you should care, and you should be able to have some kind of communication with your employees so that they know what your current safety status is. First of all, we need to do initial self-assessment. All right, so the self-assessment, I'm going to look at what accidents I've had in the past. Now, I don't like looking at the past, but we have to look at the past in order to move forward to the future, because we have to eliminate what happened in the past or reduce it so that it doesn't happen in the future. So let's look at our accident history. Let's figure out, what near misses we had or exactly what claims we've had. We're going to talk about this in a minute. How does management team support safety, and then how your employees are involved. So some ways that we can look at our accident history is through our OSHA 300 log, if you're keeping that, and then our BWC claims. Within the accident history, we need to look at what job tasks, what is being done that is creating these injuries. Did we change it? Did we change the task? Did we add something? Did we do something different? But let's look at the job task. Then it goes back to the body part. It goes back to ergonomics. Are we hurting hands, feet, carpal tunnel, what kind of injuries, and how are they being caused? So that's when I say accident history. We need to see what is going on in your company right now. And then we need to identify those trends. How many people have a log in their first aid kit? I don't care who took it. I don't care whatever it is. I don't care who took it. That's the biggest thing. What I need to know is what they took and why they took it. So I took a Band-Aid because I cut myself. Well, did you cut yourself on a piece of metal? Did you cut yourself? So this way we can find out, is there a trend? Did we change something in that process? An example would be, I was working with an employer and they had changed a chemical within their process. And the safety person started, after I had talked to him about it, started looking at the first aid log. Well, they noticed that a certain second shift at a part of time going into it, people were coming and getting some kind of a Tylenol or something like that. And they couldn't figure out why. I mean, they did the trends for over a week, and then the guy said, something's going on here, the safety person. So they called me, and that's when we got into the conversation, and that's when they figured out, oh, we changed a chemical. Once they switch back to the other chemical, they stop going into the first aid kit. Now, again, it's not that we don't want them to use that first aid kit. It's just for us to figure out, hey, there's a trend, there's something going on here. We also want to look at the OSHA compliance. I don't know if you're aware, but this is the 50th year that OSHA has been in existence. It started with the OSHA Act signed by President Nixon in 1970. So this is 50 years. And we know what the compliance is. We know what the standards say. So let's go above and beyond the compliance. And then we need to make sure that we're doing employee training. And it's not just doing the training, but also verifying that they understood what was trained, and also making sure that they have their training annually or however long that they need it. And then let's do the safety audits. Safety audits are more or less going in and saying, oh, wait a minute, we got some frayed carpeting here. Someone can trip and hurt a knee or whatever. We need to get this fixed. But until then, we need to put some yellow tape on it. We need to put something on there so that people know that this hazard is there. So doing safety audits, identifying those trends, and not doing things just for compliance. And then above and below else is management support of safety. How involved is management in your safety programs? How involved? How involved should they be? Well, who owns the systems? Who owns the systems of a company? Management does. So management needs to be really involved, but they also need to make sure that they can empower their members or their employees to let them make the right decisions when it comes to safety. So they need to be involved. They need to make sure that the programs are written, the policies and procedures, and they need to make sure that they are being followed consistently. And that's the issue that is happening a lot of times, is all supervisors have their own style of supervising, and that's fine. But we all need to be consistent in how we enforce the policy. The policy says you will report any injury, near miss by the end of your work shift. Well, if it doesn't happen, what happened? What's the recourse? Well, in the policy it states then we will follow the disciplinary guidelines. Well, a lot of times people don't want to do that. And that's okay. I mean, I get it. Let's mentor, let's coach, let's do the positive reinforcement. But the other part of that too is you have to consistently enforce your policies and procedures, or employees are not going to take any aspect of safety or anything with that policy or procedure. So management needs to be involved. They need to make sure that it's consistent, and they need to make sure that the training is done and timely. And then, do you have a safety team? This is very difficult sometimes for small employers, but with that safety team, we need to make sure that there's upward and downward communication. And I'm going to talk a little bit about communication. That safety team is going to address people, the prevention side of it. Do they have to be have a degree in safety? No, but they need to know their job so they know what the hazards are of that job. So let's have a safety team. You know, they're going to maybe do the safety audits. They may be doing the training, but have a safety team to get involved. And then necessary resources. Management needs to provide the necessary resources for their employees to do their job safely. They need to make sure that if there's personal protective equipment and they're not wearing it, why aren't they wearing it? A lot of times it's because, one, it's uncomfortable, or two, people just don't like it. They're like, oh, this makes me look like geeky or whatever. I'm talking about safety glasses, sorry. And okay, so we spend maybe 50 cents more on safety glasses, but if they're going to wear it, is that 50 cents going to make a good return on investment? Yes, it is. It most certainly is. So providing the resources, the time for training, the money for personal protective equipment, and or getting a safety intervention grant. Employee involvement and recognition. You need to make sure that your employees are involved. They have to be involved, or it's going to be a management-driven safety culture, and people are going to do what they want to do. They're going to try and skate by, so that, oh, I know they said that I need to wear it, but they never tell me, they never write me up, this or that. So we need to get employee involvement. A lot of times I hear employees say, well, I don't want to work next to that person that's going to be unsafe, because that may jeopardize my life. So now we've got employees looking out for employees. You know, they need to make sure that they're going to go home at the end of the day. Okay. We already talked about safety team, and then maybe having employees lead particular safety programs, like your maintenance supervisor or someone in maintenance when they're doing lockout tagout. Have them do a little session on lockout tagout for everybody in maintenance. Get them involved in leads. Get them on projects because maybe there's something, a piece of equipment out there that would make their job easier. Let them research it. But basically getting them involved and then recognizing them, of course. Recognizing them by giving them positive reinforcement. You know, as a supervisor, I always recommend go out there on the shop floor and say, hey, thanks, Eddie. I really appreciate you wearing your safety glasses. It makes me feel great that I know that you're going to go home, be able to see your wife and kids at the end of the day. Or, you know, something positive reinforcement and personal to them so that they understand we do care and we want to make sure that you go home to your family. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Can you communicate too much? I don't know. Sometimes people say, Lisa, you communicate too much. But my thing is, I'd rather communicate too much than not enough. All right? Because if you don't have that regular communication, I'm expecting you to understand or know what I'm thinking. But how can you do that if I don't communicate it properly? So have some kind of quarterly written or verbal feedback on their accident prevention performance to your employees. Have some kind of sit down. It could either be formalized or it could be informal, but hey, look, I've noticed that you've stepped up to the plate. You're being the safety leader of our safety team, and, you know, give them some kind of feedback. And again, we need that upward and downward communication throughout the organization. If someone doesn't understand what the other person is doing or why they made that decision, that's where that communication gets convoluted and people get attitudes, and it goes downhill from there. So let's have some upward and downward communication. It might not always be the best because they didn't like my idea or they're not going with my idea, but at least I know where they stand and why they made that decision because they're going to communicate it to me. Communication can be in all kinds of forms: memos, bulletin boards, staff and general meetings. Staff meetings meaning just your department. General meetings the whole company. Nowadays, I've seen TV monitors in break rooms and texts because everybody has their phones, so texts going out. Any ways of communicating to get people understanding of what's going on in your organization. And feedback should include safety and health performance. So basically, how many people know how much you pay in workers' comp premiums? And my question is, if not, why not? You know, maybe if they understood that this is how, you know, this is a cost of we got to pay for workers' compensation. We want to make sure that you are going home so that we don't have our premiums don't go up, so that we can get more money back into our safety program. Because everybody's getting the $1 billion back. So let's put that back into our safety program so that we have a budget, that we can provide things for our employees when it comes to safety. So what are our next steps? Our next steps is to educate yourself. We need to conduct an accident history assessment, which I talked about. Also, the Bureau of Workers' Compensation individuals, safety consultants, can come in and help you conduct that accident history. We can help you figure out what type of rebate programs you can get in, or what you're eligible for, and all that kind of stuff. You need to assess how the management team is supporting safety, and you need to evaluate how employees are involved in supporting safety. So conduct, assess, evaluate. And how a lot has to do with safety at this point, but it'll move to risk management, claims management, and all that kind of stuff. And educate yourself. Now we're safety focused. Contact someone from the Division of Safety and Hygiene. Like I said, our services are included with your workers' comp premiums. You do not have to pay anything extra for what we do. We can conduct a site assessment, find out what programs you can apply for, and biggest of all, we can help you develop an action plan. It is our recommendations, and it's up to you whether you complete it or not. Of course, I want to work with you to make sure that we get it completed, but we need to create an action plan. All right, so where do we start from here? The biggest thing is there's 3 written programs that every employer, I don't care what size you are, should have. And that is a hazard communication program, a bloodborne pathogens program, and emergency preparedness program. So the HAZCOM has to do with your chemicals in the office or in your I said state car, but your company car, not your personal car, but your company car. And then bloodborne pathogens, what if someone gets a bloody nose or vomits in your place of employment, who's going to clean it up? That's going to deal with bloodborne pathogens. And, of course, emergency preparedness. It's not if anymore, it's when that event happens, are you ready? So if someone comes in as an active aggressor with a gun or a knife, are your employees ready? Do they know what to do? If you are traveling and you are going somewhere that has a tornado watch, do you know what to do? So these are the kinds of things that you need to make sure that I don't care what size employer you are, that you do have. And I can help you, or someone in our division can help you create that action plan. So remember, if you always do what you always did, you will always get what you always got. So why do we always expect that if I change something, I'm going to get something different? Not always. You got to make sure that that's what you want. And in our words of wisdom, which I like to say, because some people, this is just the way it is. Tell me and I will forget. Show me, I'll remember. But if you involve me, I will understand. And if we involve people with the safety and health aspects of their job, they will understand why they are doing the way that they're doing it. It's not just for compliance anymore. Like I said, OSHA's been in existence for 50 years. It's not because of compliance. It's because we want to make sure that our employees go home the same way they came to work. We want to make sure that employees understand they control the safety of themselves and their coworkers. If you see something, say something. Okay, so words of wisdom. And last but not least, my information. And any questions so far?